The late afternoon sun cast long golden streaks across the sleepy highway in rural Georgia. Birds chirped distantly, and a soft breeze carried with it the scent of fresh earth and pine. On the shoulder of the road, a black woman stood beside a rental car, adjusting the strap of her duffel bag. Her name was Colonel Renee Dawson, a highly decorated officer of the United States Army, just returned from her third deployment overseas. She stood with quiet strength, her boots planted firmly, posture sharp as if the desert winds of Kandahar still whispered commands through her spine. Her uniform was immaculate, pressed to perfection, her name badge and ribbons a subtle testament to decades of honor, sacrifice, and unyielding service. Renee wasn't returning to fanfare. There were no welcome home banners, no cheering crowds. Her mother had passed 6 months ago from cancer while Renee was deployed, and her only sibling was estranged. But duty, for her, had always come before comfort. She had driven 4 hours from the base to visit her mother's grave for the first time since the funeral, something that weighed heavily on her. She stopped her rental near an old gas station when she saw a stranded elderly white woman struggling to change a tire. Without hesitation, Renee pulled over, changed the tire, and shared a bottle of water. The woman thanked her kindly, but as Renee turned to leave, she felt eyes on her, eyes filled with suspicion. Minutes later, as she merged back onto the highway, flashing red and blue lights exploded in her rearview mirror. "Step away from the vehicle. Hands where I can see them," a voice screamed from the loudspeaker. Renee was confused. She slowed to a stop, stepped out, and raised her hands. The officer approached aggressively. He was white, tall, muscular, his jaw clenched with authority. "Is this your vehicle?" he barked. "Yes, officer. It's a rental. I have the paperwork." He scoffed. "You steal it?" She blinked, calmly meeting his gaze. "No, sir. I am Colonel Renee Dawson, U.S. Army. I just returned from Afghanistan. I'm visiting my mother's grave." He laughed coldly. "Nice costume. You expect me to believe a woman like you is a colonel?" His words stung, not just for the racism, but for the pain they carried. She had given more than 20 years to this country. She had led troops in war zones. She had comforted families of the fallen. And here, on American soil, in the uniform she had bled for, she was nothing but a target. He shoved her hard against the car, snapping on handcuffs. "Impersonating an officer is a felony," he spat. Her heart thudded, not from fear, but from humiliation. She didn't resist. She simply said, "Sir, please call your supervisor. Or the Pentagon. My phone is in my pocket. It's still connected." He ignored her. But the voice on the line did not. From the speakerphone tucked in her breast pocket came a powerful voice, "Colonel Dawson. This is General Holloway. Is everything all right?" The officer froze. "Colonel. Are you being detained?" the voice asked. Renee turned her head slightly. "Yes, General. Without cause." The officer's face drained of color. Within minutes, 2 black SUVs rolled up. Military police in crisp uniforms stepped out, saluted Renee, and turned toward the officer with grim expressions. One handed him a federal summons. Another read him his rights. "I didn't know," the officer stammered. "You didn't care to know," one of the MPs replied. Renee was quietly uncuffed. She stood still, taking a breath. Her arms ached from the force. Her heart ached from the insult. But she didn't shout. She didn't curse. She straightened her uniform and nodded to her comrades. Later that evening, the woman she had helped earlier saw the incident on social media, the video, the trending hashtags, the outrage. She commented under the post, "This soldier helped me without hesitation today. I was stranded. She saved me." And hours later, she was treated like a criminal. "I'm ashamed of us." Thousands shared it. Veterans, civilians, journalists. The story swept the nation. People cried. They wrote letters. They questioned. The next day, Renee visited her mother's grave. She knelt beside the headstone, tears finally falling. "I kept my promise, Mama," she whispered. "But it's still so hard." She stayed there for hours, her hand resting on the stone. A young boy from a nearby neighborhood spotted her. He and his mother had seen her story on the news. The boy walked over shyly, carrying a small American flag. "Are you the soldier who helped the old lady and stood up to the mean cop?" he asked. Renee smiled softly. "I guess I am." He gave her the flag. "You're my hero." Tears welled up in her eyes. His mother stepped forward. "My grandfather served in Vietnam," she said. "He always said the hardest battles are fought at home. Thank you, for all of them." Days later, Renee was invited to speak at a town hall meeting. She walked to the podium in full uniform. Cameras rolled. The room hushed. "I didn't come here to shame," she began. "I came here to remind." She paused, then continued. "That uniform doesn't erase my skin. And my skin doesn't erase my service. What happened to me happens every day, to people without uniforms, without titles, without backup. If we stay silent, we're complicit." The crowd rose in standing ovation. That day, a petition for nationwide reform in police training hit over 1 million signatures. That week, she received a personal letter from the Secretary of Defense. That month, 3 police departments requested her to speak about bias and unity. But what mattered most was the handwritten note she received from a 9-year-old girl in Florida. "Dear Colonel Dawson, I want to be brave like you. I want to wear that uniform and help people too. My dad says you're a hero. I think you're a light." Renee held that letter to her chest, the pain easing a little. Because even though the road had been long, bruising, and unjust, her story had sparked light. Colonel Renee Dawson's strength wasn't in her rank, or her medals, or even her command. It was in her ability to stand tall in the face of hate, and still choose grace. She didn't call the Pentagon for vengeance. She called for accountability. She didn't raise her voice in rage. She lifted it in purpose. And because of her, a nation paused. Because of her, a child found a hero who looked like her. Because of her, we remembered what it truly means to serve.